The Himalayas, or Himalaya, is a mountain range in Asia, separating the plains of the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan Plateau. The range has some of the Earth's highest peaks, including the highest, Mount Everest. More than 100 peaks exceeding elevations of 7,200 meters, 23,600 feet above sea level, lie in the Himalayas. The Himalayas abut, or cross 6 countries: Nepal, China, Pakistan, Bhutan, India, and Afghanistan. The sovereignty of the range in the Kashmir region is disputed among India, Pakistan, and China. The Himalayan range is bordered on the northwest by the Karakoram and Hindu Kush ranges, on the north by the Tibetan Plateau, and on the south by the Indo-Gangetic Plain. Some of the world's major rivers, the Indus, the Ganges, and the Tsangpo-Brahmaputra, rise in the vicinity of the Himalayas, and their combined drainage basin is home to some 600 million people. 53 million people live in the Himalayas. The Himalayas have profoundly shaped the cultures of South Asia and Tibet. Many Himalayan peaks are sacred in Hinduism and Buddhism. The summits of several, Kangchenjunga from the Indian side, Gangkar Puensum, Machapuchare, Nanda Devi, and Kailash, in the Tibetan Trans-Himalaya, are off-limits to climbers. Lifted by the subduction of the Indian tectonic plate under the Eurasian plate, the Himalayan mountain range runs west-northwest to east-southeast in an arc 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 miles long. Its western anchor, Nanga Parbat, lies just south of the northernmost bend of the Indus River. Its eastern anchor, Namcha Barwa, lies immediately west of the Great Bend of the Yarlung Tsangpo River. The range varies in width from 350 kilometers, 220 miles in the west, to 150 kilometers, 93 miles in the east. The Himalayan range is one of the youngest mountain ranges on the planet and consists mostly of uplifted sedimentary and metamorphic rock. According to the modern theory of plate tectonics, its formation is a result of a continental collision or orogeny along the convergent boundary, main Himalayan thrust between the Indo-Australian plate and the Eurasian plate. The Arakan-Yoma Highlands in Myanmar and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal were also formed as a result of this collision. During the Upper Cretaceous, about 70 million years ago, the north-moving Indo-Australian plate, which has subsequently broken into the Indian plate, and the Australian plate was moving at about 15 centimeters per year. About 50 million years ago, this fast-moving Indo-Australian plate had completely closed the Tethys Ocean, the existence of which has been determined by sedimentary rocks settled on the ocean floor and the volcanoes that fringed its edges. Since both plates were composed of low-density continental crust, they were thrust-faulted and folded into mountain ranges rather than subducting into the mantle along an oceanic trench. 18. An often cited fact used to illustrate this process is that the summit of Mount Everest is made of unmetamorphosed marine Ordovician limestone with fossil trilobites, crinoids, and ostracods from this ancient ocean. Today, the Indian plate continues to be driven horizontally at the Tibetan Plateau, which forces the plateau to continue to move upwards. The Indian plate is still moving at 67 millimeters per year, and over the next 10 million years, it will travel about 1,500 kilometers into Asia. About 20 millimeters per year of the India-Asia convergence is absorbed by thrusting along the Himalaya southern front. This leads to the Himalayas rising by about 5 millimeters per year, making them geologically active. The movement of the Indian plate into the Asian plate also makes this region seismically active, leading to earthquakes from time to time. During the last ice age, there was a connected ice stream of glaciers between Kangchenjunga in the east and Nanga Parbat in the west. In the west, the glaciers joined with the ice stream network in the Karakoram, and in the north, they joined with the former Tibetan inland ice. To the south, outflow glaciers came to an end below an elevation of 1,000 to 2,000 meters, 3,000 to 6,000 feet, while the current valley glaciers of the Himalaya reach at most 20 to 32 kilometers, 12 to 20 miles in length. Several of the main valley glaciers were 60 to 112 kilometers, 37 to 70 miles long during the Ice Age. The glacier snowline, the altitude where accumulation and ablation of a glacier are balanced, was about 1,400 to 1,660 meters, 4,590 to 5,450 feet lower than it is today. Thus, the climate was at least 7.0 to 8.3 degrees Celsius, 12.6 to 14.9 degrees Fahrenheit colder than it is today. The physical factors determining the climate in any location in the Himalayas include latitude, altitude, and the relative motion of the southwest monsoon. From north to south, the mountains cover more than 8 degrees of latitude, spanning temperate to subtropical zones. The colder air of Central Asia is prevented from blowing down into South Asia by the physical configuration of the Himalayas. This causes the tropical zone to extend farther north in South Asia than anywhere else in the ecosystem.